A very good evening once again to all our distinguished members. Today's orientation session, which is one of IIM Africa program aimed at realigning and familiarizing members of our great institutes with what the Institute of Information Management for and what we are out to achieve. Tonight, we're explaining IIM as an organization, our roles and responsibilities as members, and what IIM is out to achieve in the society. So I'm going to start by introducing myself. I am Ambassador Dr. Oyedo Kwayede Joiwole. I'm the President, Chairman, Governing Council of our great institute, the Institute of Information Management, IIM Africa. I'm a computer scientist. I've been in the oil and gas IT sector for over 2 decades. And I think it's a great privilege for me to be here this evening presenting this to you. A summary of my profile you can actually find on my LinkedIn accounts. I am on major social media platforms. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Twitter, and you also have my email address displayed on the screen. The Institute of Information Management, it's a professional institute like we all know. And the essence of setting up this institute is to ensure that we promote competency in the field of data and information management. The Institute of Information Management is a professional membership-driven institute, and as such, we're out to ensure that professionals that are tasked with managing data, archives, records, and information within the enterprise have the opportunity for them to learn best practices and also for them to embed best practices in their day-to-day activities. So the Institute of Information Management has a primary goal of ensuring that we assist our members when it comes to their career paths, and anytime they are faced with challenges that has to do with implementation in the area of data and information management. So as a professional institute, IIM is actually the premier data and information management institute in Africa. And we have our international head office in Denver, Colorado, United States of America. The institute actually has 4 core values, which are what you can actually see on the screen. The first value has to do with standards. So what do we mean by standards? Why standards? The formation of the Institute of Information Management that was conducted as at then indicated that, especially in this climate, when I say this climate, I'm talking about Africa as a whole, there seem not to be generally acceptable or accepted standards when it comes to how different organizations manage data and information. So standards being a core value for IIM is to ensure that as a leader in the field of data and information management across Africa, we're able to provide relevant and up-to-date standards that would ensure that various sectors of the economy have access to guidelines, specifications, and standards that will ensure that the management of information lifecycle follows the same process. As of today, you find out that in most sectors of the economy, same organization within the same sector, if you have to conduct a data audit on what they do on day-to-day basis, you realize the fact that there are no generally acceptable standards for data collection, for data creation, for data classification, for data storage, for data security, and for data disposition. So this is one area that the Institute of Information Management has actually carved a niche for itself. So we are out as a professional institute to ensure that, be it in the health sector, in education, in government, just name it, we're able to assist them in formulating and establishing a generally acceptable standards when it comes to managing the data and information lifecycle. The second core value is certification. Why certification? Also, pre-IIM research conducted indicated that lots of professionals in the field of data and information management in Nigeria and Africa hardly gets recognized by organizations, governments, and even professionals. And when you talk about job or career ladder, you hardly find data and information management practitioners at the management level. The highest you're going to get will be a CIO in an organization. And many of us will have also been following what has been happening in the last couple of months. That is the introduction of the Chief Data Officer Ambassador program in Nigeria. And this program is aimed at promoting and projecting professionals in the field of data and information management so that various government establishments and organizations will begin to recognize data and information management as a professional field, and thereby raising the career ladder up to management level. So the CDO position in any organization is a management level kind of position that we are projecting as a professional institute. Then we also have as our core value competence. Why competence? It is simply because of the fact that the pre-IIM research also indicated that a good number of professionals that are charged with managing data and information in various organizations do not have the fundamental knowledge in the field of data and information management. So as a result of this, as a professional institute, we deem it necessary to ensure that professionals that are already practicing within the field have what it takes in terms of fundamentals, in terms of the basics that is being required of them to be able to carry out their functions effectively. And lastly, our core value in IIM Africa is research. You will all agree with me that without a solid research department, it becomes practically impossible for us to be able to remain relevant and also competitive in the field where we operate. So we strongly believe that from time to time, the Institute is expected to be involved in several activities around research. And that is why we have the research committee also as part of the major committees operating under the Institute of Information Management. So now talking about our great institute, the Institute of Information Management. The Institute was actually formed by the Records and Information Management Awareness Foundation. And the RIMA Foundation is a non-profit, non-governmental organization that came into existence officially in 2004. And the essence of the foundation was to raise awareness on the need for governments organizations and individuals to pay attention to effective data and information management. So in the course of operation within the foundation, part of the discovery has to do with the fact that a number of gaps were identified, which led to the formation or establishment of the Institute of Information Management. So the RIMA Foundation founded the Institute of Information Management officially in 2010. And in 2017, our great institute had the very first international chapter, which was in the United Kingdom. So in 2018, the Institute went further to create all the existing chapters that we have today. And in 2019, the RIMA Foundation also International University for Information Management, which was also set up in the United States of America. So in 2019, the Institute of Information Management head office moved from Nigeria to the United States of America, that is in Denver, Colorado, United States. In Nigeria, the Institute of Information Management is an independent professional association that is approved by the Federal Ministry of Education. We are accredited by the ministry to offer certificate programs, diploma programs, advanced diploma programs, and so on and so forth in the field of data, information, archives, records, content, knowledge, and document management. We are duly registered with the Corporate Affairs Commission, and we also have the consent of the Attorney General of the Federation in Nigeria. So in terms of accreditation and recognition, the Institute of Information Management is recognized by the Nigeria National Accreditation Services, called NINAS. This is the foremost accreditation body in Nigeria, and IIM is proud to be associated with NINAS. And secondly, in terms of our charter status, the Institute of Information Management has successfully passed through the second reading recently at the National Assembly. And any moment from now, we're expecting the Institute, to have a public hearing. And as we speak, we're waiting for the National Assembly to announce the committee that is going to constitute the public hearing. And after the public hearing, we'll be expecting the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency, President Muhammadu Buhari, to sign into law the IIM Africa bill that will make our great institute to become chartered in Nigeria. So in terms of affiliation and partnership, the Institute of Information Management is affiliated to a number of international organizations, associations, and institutions. We are affiliated to the IRMS, the foremost records management society in the UK. We have Information Matters, Information Governance in the US, PCB in Canada, IAPP in the US, that is the foremost privacy professional body in the United States of America, with the IRMS in the UK, the Online Business School in the UK, and so on and so forth, that space and time will not allow us to mention here. So as a professional institute, why IIM? What are we out to achieve? We're out to promote membership. That is, there is need for us to create a platform where professionals from different walks of life can come together to fraternize, exchange knowledge, share lessons learned, and best practices. So the IIM membership is available in all IIM chapters across the globe. And like you can see on the screen, we have the 9 chapters stated on the screen. So the IIM also is proud to also showcase some of our global leaders in different countries and different chapters across the globe. Those are the leaders, the IIM global leaders displayed on the screen for our viewing. We have Mr. John Montana in the US, we have Mr. Colin Crooks in the UK, Mr. Raphael in Ghana, Mr. Mulon, Paul, and so on and so forth. So like you saw earlier on, we displayed a list of the various chapters, various IIM chapters across the globe. There you have pictures of some of the members at those locations. I hope we all can hear me. If you have any comments, if you have any concern, please just drop your comments in the chat box. It will be attended to. So in terms of IIM membership, we're proud to mention the fact that we've got 7 unique membership grades. We have the student membership, we have the graduate membership, we have associate membership, we have professional, we have senior professional, we have the fellow grade. The fellow grade is in 2 categories. We have the professional fellow category, we have the honorary fellow category. The professional fellow category is for professionals that are still active in employment, that are still active in the profession, that are active and ready to take continuous professional development program. And the fellowship grade happened to be the highest individual membership grade in IIM. The corporate membership grade is the last membership grade offered by the Institute of Information Management. And it is open to any organization that is duly registered to join the Institute. For the student membership, is strictly for students that are in recognized higher institutions by the Institute of Information Management. And they only need to be able to demonstrate and also showcase the fact that they are students. Then we have the graduates category meant for freshers that have little or no work experience. The associate membership is for any graduates in any field or discipline with a minimum of 2 years of professional experience. The professional category is for professionals in any field with a minimum of 5 years of professional experience, while senior professional is for those with minimum of 10 years of professional experience. The IIM Professional Fellow is for professionals with minimum of 15 years of experience, and the honorary fellow is for individuals that have excelled in the society, individuals in the corporate world, in government, and those that have really impacted humanity positively. Those that have contributed to the development of the society in one way or the other are being recognized with an honorary fellowship. And the honorary fellowship is the highest IIM Africa membership category. Professional fellows are expected to pay annual subscription, while honorary fellows don't pay annual subscriptions. But as at the time they are being admitted, they are expected to contribute a minimum of 250,000 to the IIM Endowment Fund. Those are the information about the IIM membership grade. And also, most importantly, is the fact that being a member of the Institute, as a student member, student members have the opportunity to upgrade to graduate membership after they finish or after they graduate from their studies. Graduate members also have the opportunity to upgrade their membership to associate membership after spending a minimum of 2 years as a graduate member of our great institute. Associate members equally have that same right to upgrade their membership from associate to professional, professional to senior professional, then ultimately from senior professional to fellow grade. The fellow is the final membership grade. in IIM. And at that point, fellow members are expected to continue with their continuous professional development program. So for student membership, graduate membership, associate membership, professional membership, and senior professional membership, they are expected to return their membership certificates at the end of each year. So by the time they are renewing their membership, they are expected to apply for new membership certificates. This is so because we want to ensure that we have a group of current members, a group of members that are current in terms of development and happenings in the field of data and information management. So by the time they attain the fellowship grade, that is the final stage where they get the final membership certificate that does not or that would not expire. So every member, apart from the honorary fellow membership grade, are expected to pay annual dues every year in order to remain relevant. And members who default in paying their membership dues for over 2 years, according to the Constitution of the Institute of Information Management, will be temporarily delisted and also removed from the IIM register and on the website. They still have the opportunity to revalidate their membership anytime they pay up their membership dues. And if they have to come back, they will be expected to pay the backlog of all the membership fees they've defaulted from paying. So what are the benefits in becoming a member of this great institute? There are lots of benefits that IIM membership has got to offer, ranging from professional benefits, which has to do with an opportunity for members to learn best practices in data and information management as it affects their discipline. You all will agree with me that data and information management is not restricted to any field or any discipline. It is open to professionals regardless of their fields or discipline. And the need for us to ensure that we are able to learn best practices in our own individual fields, that is, in our individual discipline, and not be overemphasized. So the IIM membership gives you the opportunity, regardless of your discipline or your background, to learn best practices on how data and information management within your field can be managed. Then it is also a kind of recognition for professionals. It is an achievement to show your experience, your expertise, and ability to deliver an information life cycle. The IIM membership benefits also include employment opportunities. From time to time, members have the opportunities of being enlisted for job placement in different organizations. We do receive internally job openings from multinationals asking and seeking for qualified candidates to be recommended by the Institute. This is another good opportunity that a good number of our members have benefited in the past. And being a member of this great institute also opens us up to this opportunity. In terms of business also, as professionals in our various disciplines, we have the opportunity to showcase whatever business that we are into. We have the opportunity to showcase them through various IIM programs and also to build a network of patrons and customers within the IIM platform. The IIM connection to government establishments, to different multinationals is an opportunity which our members in the past have actually been leveraging on for employment opportunities, for consultancy opportunities, for project opportunities, and so on and so forth. The IIM membership also provides marketing and business development platform where products and services of members can be showcased at almost a giveaway prizes, and even in some instances, free of charge. Then members also have the opportunity of learning best practices and also helping them in the data and information age to be relevant in their own field, and also to give them an edge over their peers within their disciplines. Then the Institute of Information Management also provides a lot of international opportunities where members can fraternize with other members across the globe at the various IIM chapters. We have had situations where members exchange projects, a situation where members that have not even traveled out of the shores of Nigeria have leveraged on the IIM platform to visit Europe and America, and so on and so forth. So there are career opportunities and business partnership opportunities as being a member of the Institute. We have the IIM Coordinator Network, which is open to accredited IIM members. So as coordinators for our great institute, members have the opportunities to come up with different programs, ideas, and initiatives to partner with the institute, leverage on the platform to reach out to their target audience. It could be in form of programs, it could be in form of workshop, conferences, and so on and so forth. And our coordinators are always being compensated each time they invite members to join the institute. For coordinators, they have the opportunity of getting up to 10% on whatever referral that they have extended to our great institute. And those that are not coordinators are also entitled to 5% commission for any individual introduced to the organization or training. It could be consultancy, it could be anything that they are bringing into the institute. They have the opportunity to get that compensation. Then you also, as members of our great institute, you have the opportunity of attaining professional certification. IIM has a number of professional certification programs, and as members, automatically as an accredited member, the newly introduced point-based certification program gives every IIM member a pre-evaluation point between 15 and 25 points. So to attain IIM professional certification under the point-based certification, candidates are expected to have various minimum points for them to be able to qualify for the certification program. So being a member of this great institute gives you, depending on your membership grade, the highest grade, which is fellow grade, is 25 points. So you can imagine out of 100 points, you already have 25 points as a fellow of this great institute for you to get a professional certification without having to write examination. Then we also have the monthly webinar and free quarterly training program that the Institute organizes every month and every quarter to ensure that our members remain relevant, they remain current with trends, events, and happening within the field of data and information management. So these are just few out of the various membership benefits being offered by our great institute. The Institute of Information Management also, as part of our professional services, we offer professional training programs, and a list of these training programs, the list is available on IIM website. We have professional training program, we have certification training program, and we also have international programs being organized by IIM partners and affiliates across the globe. As members of the Institute, we have the opportunity to indicate our interest to attend any of the global programs being organized by IIM or any of our partners across the globe. You can visit the IIM website for a list of available programs, both local and international programs. So in terms of the IIM certification program, I mentioned the fact that we have the points-based certification, which is open to IIM members and also non-members of IIM. But for IIM members, the original certification program, we have good discounts for members who are interested in pursuing their career. You will notice that in IIM, we actually separated membership from certification because we don't want a situation where we bore professionals unnecessarily with the need for them to take examination before joining from different disciplines. We have medical doctors in our midst, we have lawyers, we have bankers, we have engineers, we have marketers, we have business development professionals, we have so many disciplines in the IIM platform. And you agree with me that individual disciplines also have their professional associations. So because of this, the IIM membership, although has opportunity for both direct membership and via exam membership. So we made it open so that professionals from other disciplines have the opportunities to join the institute in order for them to learn best practices as talking about how data and information management evolves within their own disciplines. So for professionals that are already members of our great institute that now decide to pursue a career in the field of We are sorry for the break in transmission. It was due to network issue. So like I was saying, we have the opportunity as members of our great institute to enroll in any of these data management related certification program. And the other kind of certification being offered by the institute is the GIMC certification. The GIMC certification is General Information Management Competence Certification. This particular certification is open to professionals from different walks of life because in 2015, the institute realized we conducted a research as to how and why information within, most especially the public sector, do get into the public space unabated. And we realized the fact that in most organizations where they have experienced data breaches and unauthorized exposure of data was as a result of the fact that those organizations lack what we refer to as data and information governance. And in 2015, the Institute of Information Management decided to introduce the General Information Management Competence Certification, which ensures that employees within the organization, regardless of their job role, have basic knowledge and understanding when it comes to how they handle data and information. It could be data being generated by them or data they receive in the course of carrying out their day-to-day activities. So the aim is to ensure that we promote awareness across board within every organization. And we also want to help to develop the understanding when we talk about information management, because a lot of times in most organizations, people believe that the task of managing data and information rests on the IT department or even to certain departments within the organization. So we are out to ensure that we promote data and information management to the level that employees and employers are able to realize that data and information management is everybody's responsibility. So it is education on how to better manage both their personal data and data that belongs to their customers, to their organization, and to other stakeholders they interface with in the course of carrying out their day-to-day functions. And you will all agree with me now that in Nigeria, we need to do more in this space. And in 2019, the National Information Technology Development Agency came up with the Nigerian Data Protection Regulation. And the GIMC came into existence in 2015 for you to know how proactive the institute has actually been. Now the NDPR implementation in most organizations are being carried out by DPCOs, being appointed by NITDA. And for organizations to be able to comply with these regulations, they need to make sure that they have proper information governance in place. And the only way this can be achieved is through this GIMC program. So the GIMC program is a one-day program for employees in every organization for them to learn the basics and best practices when it comes to data management and data handling. So for professionals that are core in data management in the organization, apart from getting a certificate of attainment, to write examination, they'll be expected to write and pass exam. And after 3 years, they'll be expected to also renew the GIMC certification that they have. So earlier on, I mentioned about the IIM professional certification that comes in 10 different disciplines. So the 10 individual disciplines is broken down into 4 stages. The first stage is the IMP stage. The first 3 stages are the IMP stages. The IMP stages are the information management professional stages. So at each stage, professionals are expected to complete a minimum of 5 modules. And in our own context, modules are subjects. Like data management is a module, archive management is a module, geographic information system is a module, health information management is a module, document management is a module, and so on and so forth. We have 15 modules in all that candidates are expected to complete. You need to complete the first 5 modules at IMP1, pass the exam before you can progress to IMP2. You need to pass the 5 modules on the IMP2 level before you can proceed to IMP3. But the points-based certification program is an opportunity for you to be exempted from writing examination, which means you'll have to submit some documentation for evaluation for you to be exempted from some of these levels. Then when the 10 master certification that you saw and see at the bottom of the slide, those are the badges you are going to earn if you, by the time you pass the 4th stage, which is the master certification level. So we have the certified health information, certified information security, knowledge management, library management, records management, and so on and so forth. So the point-based certification we mentioned earlier on, throwing more light on it, like I explained, has to do with experience. It has to do with your experience, your achievements over time in the field of data and information management. So you have been evaluated based on that. So it proves that the person is qualified to work in a certain data and information management discipline based on their academic and professional qualifications, including work, so professional experiences they have acquired over the years in the industry. So that is what the point-based education is all about. It means the candidates have been practicing in the particular field over a reasonable period, have been involved in related professional activities for a substantial period, have passed academic and certification examination, and meet all requirements to practice in that particular field. So this education option offers professional certification in varieties of disciplines in data and information management. So how does it work? Your eligibility to be certified is based on point systems, like I mentioned earlier on. That is, you have been awarded credit for education and experience that you have gathered previously. So all candidates applying for certification evaluation must have a minimum of 2 years of relevant professional experience and a minimum of 40 points to qualify. So I mentioned earlier on that part of the benefits of being an IIM member is automatically you have points. Being an IIM member, if you're a fellow, you already have 25 points for being a fellow. So it means from this minimum 40 points to even get a certification, you already achieved 25 points. So remaining few points for you to hit IMP1 certification. So all points claimed for education must be from IIM recognized institution of learning. So if candidates' total qualifying point is below 40, such candidates will be advised to take supplementary courses or even write exams. But all applicants must have 40 or more points and 2 years of professional experience to become certified under the IIM point-based certification pathway, regardless of their choice of certification major. So those 10 disciplines you saw, those are the majors. So these are the evaluation criteria, that is points obtained. We are going to, each candidate will be evaluated based on their accredited membership. So if you are an IIM member, automatically, if you are a fellow, you have 25 points. If you are a senior professional member, you automatically have 18 points. If you are a professional member, you have 15 points, and so on and so forth. So it means by the time you are being evaluated on the first criteria here, you have 25 points. Then skills stroke professional experience that you have acquired over the years. That is, for the particular major you are applying for, you'll be evaluated, your CV will be evaluated, and you'll be given certain points there. So the maximum point you can earn also at that level is 25 points. So let's assume you also earn 15 points from that. So you add 15 points to the initial 25 points that you have, meaning that you already qualified for IMP1 certification. Then we also look at your education and training. If you have PhD, you get 25 points. If you have BSc, I think if you have BSc also, and HND, if you have OND, if you have certificates, all those will determine the points that you are going to earn at the end of the day. Then lastly, you are also going to be evaluated based on your major. For example, assuming your major is information security, and you already have a certification in information security elsewhere from another association or from another institution, you can be evaluated based on this. And if you have a certification, then you earn 25 points. So the total of the entirety of your points will be put together. And if you earn between 40 and 49.9 points, you are going to be awarded IMP certification. IMP1 certification is what you are going to be entitled to. If your point is between 50 and 69.9, you are actually going to be awarded IMP2 certification. If your point is 70 to 89.9, it means you are going to get IMP3 certification. Then if you have from 90 upward to 100 points, then you are going to have the ultimate and final level of the major you are applying for. So if it is information security, it means if you have above 90, then you are going to have the master certification from our great institute without you having to write the exam. So additionally, by applying and receiving an assessment and evaluation report does not confer a certification. A number of times, because the moment you submit your entry, your expression of interest, EOI, for certification, you'll be evaluated and you're going to get a report from the institute. A number of times we have seen where candidates, because of the fact that they've been pre-evaluated on a particular certification level, they have not really followed and completed the process, but they go out there to claim that they already have that certification. It is not so. By the time you send in your expression of interest and you complete the certification process, that is when you can lay claim to such certification. So candidates are also expected to submit the application, which is not a guarantee that they are going to get certification from the institute. They must achieve and they must meet the requirements for certification to be awarded to them. So certification will be awarded by Institute of Information Management from the head office in Denver, Colorado, United States of America. That is the authorizing body that is going to award certification to whoever that is qualified to get it. So in order for you to begin this step, for you to initiate the process of certification now, you need to send in your expression of interest to certification@IIM-Africa.org to be able to take advantage of the point-based certification. But for those that want to go through the regular certification process, they also can send in their request. They'll be sent a link to do the registration. They'll be expected to take the various classes and also scheduled for the examination before they can actually become certified. So that about IIM certification. Then we talk about the Institute of Information Management establishments now. As a professional institute, we want to ensure that we help organizations, to resolve and to bridge all challenges that are related with data and information management. A lot of organizations are facing series of challenges, series of problems when it comes to managing data and information. And I can make bold to say that there's hardly any organization you get to today, most especially in our climate in Africa, that doesn't have one information management problem that needs to be attended to or that needs to be solved. So the Institute of Information Management is established to help provide a platform for this. That is, we want to ensure that for every organization, in terms of whatever service or product they are offering, they're able to do and offer their offerings effectively and efficiently. And the only way that can be done is by having data governance in place. We also want to ensure that businesses are profitable, that is, organizations do not incur unnecessary losses simply because of the fact that they are not managing data and information appropriately. So what do we mean by this? We're talking about the fact that a number of times when organizations don't know where they are losing revenue, they continue to make the same mistake over and over again, and they continue to lose money. So in order for them to be able to get the best and also be profitable in whatever venture they are into, we want to ensure that they are profitable by ensuring that we bring the normal, the required and the expected knowledge, on board so that they can know what is working and what is not working within their organization, because that is the only way they can be assured of being profitable in whatever venture they are into. Then in terms of social, we want to make sure that organizations are able to protect, their integrity, they're able to protect their products, their services, their offerings by making sure that their customer continue to have trust and confidence in them. Before customers can give their data to you for you to manage, they want to be sure that they are giving data to an organization that is responsible, an organization that will not expose them to unnecessary information hazard, an organization that will not unnecessarily expose them to information risk. Nobody wants to be involved in information risk. Last year alone, 2 organizations in Nigeria, that failed to comply with the NDPR, that had data breaches. The first one paid 10 million naira in fine. The second one also paid 5 million naira. So apart from the monetary aspects, we also talk about the image of those organizations too, because a lot of customers wouldn't want to do any business with them again because of the fact that their image has been battered as a result of the data breaches being experienced by those organizations. So we want organizations to be socially responsible, by providing governance in the field of data and information management. Then we also want to ensure that they have quality information when making decisions, because the quality of decisions being made by the government, by an organization, or by an individual can only be as quality as the quality of information or data they are relying on to make such decisions. So if the data and information available to any entity in decision making, if those data are not timely, if they are not accurate, if they are not complete, if they are not cost effective, if they are not accessible, if they are not usable, then it means the quality of decision that will be made will be very, very poor. And part of the problems we have in Africa generally, why governments find it difficult, to deliver on their promises, is simply because of the fact that governments in Africa don't rely on quality data to make decisions. When they are doing budgetary allocations, most decisions are not being made on quality data. And as a result, at the end of the day, they are not able to deliver on their electoral promises. So any government that really wants to deliver must ensure that data and information management is brought to the front burner, which was why IIM, over the years, we have always been clamoring for the need to ensure for government to declare a state of emergency on data and information management. Because we talk about lack of employment opportunities, we talk about insecurity in the country, we talk about so many issues around. And most of these issues, if not all of these issues, can be traced to the fact that there are no governance in terms of data and information management in place. And some of us will remember sometime last year, I think, was it last year or year before the last, America had to withdraw certain privileges from Nigeria as a country because of the fact that they believed that our government was not doing enough in information management. They deprived some Nigerians from becoming citizens in America simply because of the fact that they believe that Nigerian government does not have data about their citizens. And that was what triggered what the Ministry of Internal Control, or what do they call them? Internal Affairs. That is why they are making sure that the Nigeria passport system is being properly and well automated. Because without quality data, you cannot make quality decisions. And you cannot fight insecurity, you cannot fight poverty, you cannot fight unemployment. Because when it comes to budgetary allocations, you are definitely not going to know where you need to put those funds in. And you are not also going to be able to measure the level of progress that has been made in the course of implementation where you don't have quality data, where data is not properly managed, where you have not established the data life cycle that will ensure that data is properly and adequately and professionally collected, classified, stored, safe, accessed, protected, and also shared. So these are all the elements and attributes that every organization and government need for them to be able to take advantage of quality data. And that is why the Institute of Information Management is helping to create this platform, not only in Nigeria, across the globe, so that organizations can actually leverage and benefit from data and information governance. So we're also out to help to control the process that has to do with the creation and growth of data and information management in the organization. We want to promote efficiency and productivity. We also want to ensure that new technologies, as they are evolving, that organizations and governments are able to take advantage of them, and also to ensure compliance with regulations. We have the FOI in Nigeria, we have the NDPR in Nigeria, and also in the pipeline, we have the Data Protection Bill, which is still at the National Assembly. The moment it becomes a law, there will also be need for organizations to comply with that also, and also to ensure that we minimize, the risk that organizations are exposed to legally. Because a lot of times, why people lose relevant and required information as at the time they are running those court cases. And also, we want to ensure classification of data and information, because when data and information are not properly classified, it becomes practically impossible for you to be able to identify those data and information that are vital. So when we talk about vital information, there are those data and information to the end of the business, it could lead to the end of the establishment. Then also in terms of better decision making, in terms of preservation of corporate memory, because a lot of times, okay, in Africa now, project, simply because they are not being properly preserved. Our children, some of them cannot even speak our local dialects again. They cannot speak our local languages again. So we need to preserve our corporate memories and also foster professionalism when it comes to data and information management. It's not an all-comers affair. You can't just be engaging people to be, handling, to be processing personal data without them being properly trained. Because we talk about SIM card registration, we talk about NIN registration, and all this registration going on in the country. Who are those personnel that are deployed to do all these tasks? Are they certified? Do they understand why they are doing what they are doing? So these are all of the things the Institute is how to achieve true information management, and also to ultimately help reduce the corporate reduce in their various businesses. So on that note, we come to the end of the first slide presentation. Also, I'm going to run you through another slide, which is, I'm going to make it as fast as possible because our time is already fast spent. And for those that are joining the Institute of Information Management afresh, the new members, because a number of times we've had a situation where after people are being inducted into the Institute, they are being asked, oh, what does it take, or what does as members of this great giving out, we shall be giving out a digital certificate of attendance for the session. So, and it is not automatic. It is only those that are able to attend, because Zoom will actually give us the timing, you know, in terms of the length of time an individual was able to be part of the program. So I want to employ us, the remaining 2 slides, 2 topics, I'll try to make them as snappy as possible, as we've actually covered the most important aspect of today's presentation. So our next presentation is about data and information management, because like I was saying before the break in transmission, it is important for us as members of this great institute for us to have a background knowledge about what data and information is all about. It is very key, because we all are ambassadors of this great institute, and if we go out there, we should be able to represent the institute appropriately. And that is why we deem it necessary to have this particular session, so that we are well equipped for us to represent our great institute wherever we find ourselves. So now we're starting with introduction of what data and information is all about. Because a number of times when you ask people what data is, you get quite a number of definitions, you know, about what data is. And as professionals in the field, we should be able to, you know, correct people out there, and also to put them in line with what data is. So what is data? Data could be anything. It could be values, it could be numbers, it could be observation, it could just be anything that you're able to collect, anything you are able to articulate in a way and manner for you to make decisions. So if you ask me to define what data is, I will tell you that data is raw. Data is raw. It's a raw fact that you need to process. You need to process data before you can actually use data. And that is why we said it is a collection of facts, a collection of values, or anything. So data is a raw fact that you need to process before you can use it. And let us stay out of this mistake, because a lot of times when you ask people to define data, they still mention the word information. As at the point at which you have data, information has not even come into existence. Information is not expected to be mentioned anytime you are defining data, because it means that data is still at a raw state. So if it is still raw, it means it cannot be used. Data cannot be used when it is raw. So the next thing you need to do to data is to make it usable by processing it. So when you now process data, that is when you now have what we refer to as information. So definition of information can simply mean process data. So we don't necessarily have to memorize this explanation. All we need to do is to be able to understand, have the understanding. Then we can define it in our own words. So when we define information, we cannot define information as processed data. That is, the moment you put data in a context that somebody can use, then it has become information. The moment you are communicating and the other person is able to decode what you have communicated, then it means the person has information. The moment you have been able to put, no matter the kind of data that you have gathered, the moment you have been able to put it together and it's now making sense, it is making meaning, then it has become information. So in other words, we define data as raw facts that needs to be processed before it can be used. Then we can equally define information as processed data. So that is that about data. So for every information that exists, either in our homes or in our various offices, in our working places, you find information in 2 different states. It's either you have information in a structured state or you have it in an unstructured state, which means that anytime, for example, now, in fact, all of us, we must have filled a registration form at a given time in the past. So what it means is that that form you are filling is structured in a way and manner so that they can collect uniformly the same data, from different people at different places, and also still maintaining that format. So when we say information is existing in a structured format, it means it is in a pre-formatted state. Because if, for example, if I give out a plain sheet of paper to all of us attending this session for us to fill all our bio data, a particular candidate may decide to start with surname, middle name, first name. Another person could start with first name, middle name, surname. Another might say, okay, just first name and surname. Another candidate could decide to put the email before telephone number, because I've only given out a plain sheet of paper, which means that I'm trying to collect unstructured kind of data from them. I'm trying to collect unstructured data. But if I give out a form that has been pre-formatted, that has where you are going to put first name, middle name, surname, then it means all of us are going to put our surname where we have surname. All of us will put our telephone number where we have telephone number. So that is practically what we're trying to explain here. So anytime, and vast amount of information that exists in most organizations are in unstructured states. So it means as professionals, we have a lot of work to do to help our organization to make sure that we structure all our information so that those information can be accessible and usable for decision making. So what is now information management? It has to do with how we collect and manage information that comes into our organization from various sources. A lot of organizations today, as we speak, they don't have a documented process of data collection. And they don't even know where information is coming in. Information could be coming from the company's website. It could be coming from email. It could be coming from other social media platforms. It could be coming in form of physical hard copy, information through the courier services and so on and so forth. So all of these channels, every organization should be able to identify them so that they do not lose vital information. A lot of times, like we had in Nigeria some years back, we had a situation where a minister was sacked simply because of the fact that she bought a bulletproof vehicle. And what happened in that case? It was simply because of the fact that the documentation for the procurement of the vehicle got into the wrong hands. And in an organization, if you don't have all these processes being streamlined, information, once it gets into the wrong hand, it could be used against us as individuals or even our organization as a whole. So we want to ensure that within our organization, we have proper information management and governance in place. It also has to do with the people that need to have access to that information. If you don't know what you have within your organization, you are definitely not going to know what to do with them. It's also applicable to our personal lives too, because sometimes we might have some things in the house, and because of the fact that we are not privy to the fact that those things exist, we might even go out and try to get that same thing again, simply because we do not know what we have. So it is important in terms of data and information for every organization and individuals to know what information they have. Like on our telephones now, from time to time, you need to keep checking your phones. You need to know the videos on your phone, the images being downloaded from the various groups you belong to on different social media platforms. Because, we're enjoying the fact that in Nigeria, data and information management is just gaining ground. In the developed crime, there are certain crimes that are not pardonable. For example, if you belong to a group, and this is something that has happened to some people in the past, you can belong to a WhatsApp group. Some people might upload some obscene images, videos, even audio. And without you knowing, all those items, all those materials, could automatically be downloaded on your phone. If you travel abroad, and that's why we always advise that if you are traveling outside the country, you need to check your phone very well. Because if you are traveling abroad and they have cause to check your phone and they see any obscene image or video or voice on your phone, you are liable. We have had people go to jail for things like this that they knew nothing about. So that is part of the information management we're talking about. Then you need to know where to find those data and information within the organization. Because it is when you know what you have that you know where they are located. You need to know who has it in case somebody has borrowed, or maybe somebody took it to use it for some time. You need to know the person, where the person is, and you need to know where you need to go and find that person anytime you have need for it. You need to know. Then ultimately, you need to know how long you need to keep it for. Most especially in the public sector, why you find a lot of public sector struggling with data and information management, record management, is because of the fact that they don't know what to keep and they don't know what they need to throw away. There's something we refer to as information retention. Every organization should have a policy that stipulates for how long different classes of information should be retained. And if those records are retained beyond those periods, they will be liable under the law. We have two multinationals that are no longer in existence today. We have the Arthur Andersen, we have Enron. Those are two multinationals, international multinational organizations that went down for lack of proper information governance. So they did not, in case of Arthur Andersen, they actually destroyed some financial records before those records attained their retention period. So you can see how serious lack of data governance can be. So we've talked about data, we've talked about information, we've talked about things that we need to put in place for proper information management. Now, we hear the word records. What is record? What is record? It is any information that is being created by you or you receive it from a third party that you are keeping to use as evidence and also as information in the course of your day-to-day business transactions. So that is record. So when we talk about record, information, we mentioned about the fact that data will transform to become information. Information will also transform to become record. But mind you, not all information will become record. Anytime you have any information that is not serving as evidence, maybe it's just information about description of how you can get from point A to point B. You're going to a place. That one is just information, is not record. But when you have something like a receipt that is stating that, oh, the laptop you are carrying with you has so serial number, has your name as the owner, has so amount of money you paid, the date the money was paid, the organization you bought the laptop from, and so on and so forth, it means that is a record. That is, it's providing an evidence to showcase that the laptop or whatever commodity that you have actually belong to you. Then it is media independent. What do we mean by that? It doesn't matter whether it is available electronically or physically. So it is not an issue. And in Nigeria, we have the admissibility of electronic record law, which means that in the law courts in Nigeria, you can actually present a digital evidence in court and it will be accepted. Then we also have non-records. A lot of times you find individuals and organizations keeping unnecessary documents, all in the name of their keeping records. For example, compliment slip, catalog and trade journals, invitations, trivial email messages you request, you receive in your inboxes, requests for stock information, out-of-date distribution list, draft paper, working paper, and all those ones, they are all not records. They are only providing you information. So within every organization, all the records that exist will belong to one out of these three states. It's either the record you have is active, is semi-active, or it's inactive. When we say active records, those are the records that you use from time to time, regularly in carrying out your day-to-day business functions. Then when we talk about semi-active records, those are the records that you use maybe intermittently, but not regularly. Then we talk about inactive records, are those records that you might not even use for a very long time. But mind you, when we say, because there's always this misconception, when we talk about the fact that information has become inactive, people think we are saying that the information is no longer useful. Sometimes you could have a vital record that is inactive. For example, your certificate of incorporation in an organization now. How often do you use it? But it's one of the most important documents or records that serve as the holding for your organization. So what is now records management? Records management is a professional field that has to do with how records is being efficiently and systematically managed. That is when we talk about the life cycle, which has to do with how it's being created, how you receive it, how you maintain it, how you use it, and how you ultimately dispose records. Then we're talking about the field of records management. A lot of organizations, when you talk to them about records management, they tell you it's not just about filing. Anybody can file, you can get the secretary to file. No, it's beyond that. It's a professional field. Staff need to be trained, they need to be certified to be able to manage records and information effectively. Then elements of records management now, it will help to meet business and clients' needs. It will help to meet record legislations, compliance, and so on and so forth. It will, you need to manage records as valuable and expensive assets. This is one big area that a lot of organizations are lacking in. That is, a lot of organizations are yet to begin to see records as assets. That is, when I say records, I'm still referring to data, information, and whatever. Yeah, if I ask all of us to mention assets within our organization now, most of us are only going to mention vehicle, equipment, computers, furniture, building, and all other tangible assets. It is not common for people to mention information as assets. And I will tell you that after employees are the most valuable assets in any organization. After that, you have information as the next most valuable assets. So forget about the building, forget about anything. If you lose the information, you could lose the entirety of all other tangible and physical assets that you see around you. So it also helps to promote corporate governance, accountability, and so on and so forth. And the quality of information that you have to make decisions will be very, very high. The quality will be very, very high. And you are going to be happy with the kind of operations that you are going to be running within your organization. So now we talk about records management now. What are the various drivers? Some organizations you find that are doing it today. Some are doing it because of regulations, because of laws, because of some internal policies, and some are doing it because of international best practices. The industry best practices, they want to ensure that they're able to meet their clients' expectations and even exceed them. And the only way that can be done is through data and information management. Then for those organizations that, like I mentioned earlier on, non-compliance could cost the organization a lot of cost, a lot of reputational damage, financially, and even patronage, could be hampered when you don't manage information appropriately. So what are the benefits? There are lots of benefits that can be derived from managing information, stemming from corporate governance, compliance, risk reduction, disaster recovery, quality, and also knowledge corporate knowledge about your organization. So those are the various benefits that any organization or government can derive when they ensure that they have information governance in place. And how can they achieve this? Is by ensuring that they have structures in place. If your organization have what we refer to as IT department, then it is also important for your organization to have an IIM department, because the role of IT is different from IIM. IT will provide the infrastructure for you that will ensure that you're able to run effectively and efficiently. But IIM will help you to manage the life cycle of data and information that you run within your organization. And we have different kinds of business records. You have historical records, you have legal records, personal records, financial records, you have policies, procedures, specifications, and so on and so forth. So all of these records needs to be classified into vital, important, useful, and non-essential records, which means that at the end of the day, you are going to be able to identify those records that are vital, that is, those records that if anything happens to them, it could lead to the end of your organization. So the moment you're able to do this classification, it means you need to provide separate storage for them. You don't lock all your records in the same repository. In fact, some, you might even save some in the bank because of the fact that they are so important. Contracts, deeds that you have signed with clients, with other stakeholders, you want to protect them because they are vital to your operation. Then we also have important records. So you want to make sure that the important records are equally properly kept. For example, your financial record, operating report, board minutes, and so on. We also have useful records like memos, reports, letters, and so on. All those ones, you also want to classify them appropriately so that you can determine their storage. Then we also have, last but not the least, the non-essential records. These are records that the moment they finish, serving the purpose for which they have been created, then you no longer need them, then you can just discard them. Example, memos, notices, and so on and so forth. So that is the end of our second slide. And the last but not the least, which is the third slide, we are going to be looking at opportunities in this our field of information management. What are the various opportunities? Because a lot of us will just be wondering, say, okay, if I acquire all this knowledge, if I have all this understanding about data and information management, how can I take it further? How can I, progress from here? What else can I get myself involved in, to be able to take good advantage of information management? So I'm going to share the last slide. I'm also going to run through. We're going to make the slides are going to be made available to us, to members, to all members. Even those that are not in attendance, we're going to share the video with them. After they finish watching this video, then they too will be entitled to certificate of attendance, because we're actually going to test their knowledge. We're not just going to give them certificate of attendance. After giving them the link to this presentation, we will need to be sure that they actually listen to this presentation before they can get their own certificate of attendance. So now, talking about career in information management, there are lots of opportunities, in information management. And I defined what information management is in the previous slide. So there's no point for us wasting our time, doing that. As data and information managers, we are so powerful. It's so unfortunate that a lot of people don't know how powerful we are. Information managers are very powerful people in any setting, in any organization, in any sector. We are so powerful. It is not only those that work in central bank alone, that have sensitive kind of nature. The nature of what we do as professionals, our job is somehow sensitive. And that is why organizations need to take information management professionals seriously, because leakage of information could lead to scandal, it could lead to reputational damage, it could lead to to a lot of problems. It could lead to a lot of problems for any organization. So you can see how vital and how sensitive and fragile this discipline can be. And as professionals, we have roles that we need to play in our organization. Joining the Institute of Information Management has now made you to be, you are no longer who you used to be again. Because as a member of IIM, you should be able to help your organization. You should be able to help them when it comes to how they preserve, organize, and disseminate information. Those are your primary responsibilities. You want to make sure that you preserve important information. You organize them in a way and manner in which they can be accessible only to authorized personnel within the organization. And you also want to make sure that information is being disseminated to the right people within the organization. So as information professionals, what do? We are expected to acquire the skills that has to do with organizing and retrieving recorded data, information, and knowledge. That is, traditionally, our work revolves around, primarily used to be printed materials. But you'll agree with me now that a lot of organizations today now, they are going digital, they are transforming digitally. They are moving from manual processes to digital processes. And that is the reason why, as professionals, we need to evolve. And the only way we can evolve is to belong to a professional platform like IIM. Because when we belong to a professional body like IIM, we are always, being visited with the latest trend in the industry through the various programs being executed by this great institute. So we interact with electronic, visuals, audios, digital materials, and so on and so forth as professionals. So as a professional in the field, I remember when the early days of the institute, when we were receiving requests from oil and gas firms asking us to help them to fill certain positions, we had some members that their background was not even in sciences. Some were in arts, some were in commerce, and so on and so forth. But because of the fact that they acquired additional knowledge in document management, in document control, they were able to leverage on that. And some of them that never even believed they could work within the oil and gas sector, because of the fact that they had that unique skills. As at that time, we were able to connect them on those jobs. And even some of them, as I speak with you today, they are still in the oil and gas sector as we speak. So if you have data and information management skills, you can work in all establishments. Forget about your primary discipline. Probably your first degree could be in arts, or it could be in accounting or whatever. If you step up and you acquire the desired and the required skills in data management, you can work anywhere. You can work in public sector, in private sector, non-profit, academic institutions, health institutions, security institutions, and so on and so forth. So as professionals, we promote efficiency in the organization where we are engaged by ensuring that only useful information are kept and maintained in a systematic way that can be easily accessed by authorized personnel. May decide to generalize. That is, you can have general knowledge about different areas. If you look at the way we have structured the IIM certification program, we structured it in a way that there's no way you do IIMP 1, IIMP 2, IIMP 3. By the time you get to the master certification level, you must have had experience in all the major data and information management fields that exist. So that was why we designed our certification that way. So that even at the master level, if you obtain master's education in geographic information system, you have an idea of health information management, you have an idea of document management, you have an idea of archives management, you have an idea of records management, and so on and so forth. So some of the core functions has to do with helping our organization when it comes to identifying, articulating, and also establishing the organization's information needs. You hardly find any organization, most especially in Africa, by the time they are preparing their budgets, they will hardly talk about their information needs. Every organization, every individual, every government have information needs. So we need to begin to inculcate that into our culture now. Apart from your financial needs, you have information needs. As an individual, what are your information needs? Have you been able to identify them? It is when you're able to articulate all these things, that's when you can make progress in terms of your career, even in terms of your relationship with your wife, with your husband, with people you interact with. You need to know and identify your information needs. So what are those information needs? The operational needs, the managerial needs, and the strategic information needs. Because in terms of operations in your organization, you need to know those and identify those information that you need to be able to operate efficiently and effectively. In terms of management that are required for you to be able to manage your organization and also to strategically position your organization and your operations too, you need to know those information that you require. Then you need to identify information that you need to capture and store permanently. Because not all, like I mentioned earlier on, it's not all information that will transform to become records. So you need to identify and capture those information that are records so that you can properly manage and store them. Then as professionals too, part of our function is to create, we create policies for our organizations. Part of the information need is for you to identify the policies that are lacking in your organization. Does the organization have a data and information management policy? Does the organization have retention policy? Does the organization have information security policy? Does the organization have all other policies that has to do with proper information governance? So as professionals, it is our responsibilities to identify those gaps and also help the organization to create them, then also move it in by ensuring that we get approval from management. Because no matter what you try to do, if you don't have management backing, support, and approval, you cannot succeed. So it is also our responsibility to get it approved. Then after approval, because that is what is common, even in Nigeria as a country, we have a lot of laws in Nigeria that are not being enforced. So what is the essence of having laws that are not being enforced? What's the essence of having policies not being enforced? So as professionals in the field of data and information management, we need to go out there and ensure that the policy we have created that has been approved by management is adequately enforced. And through enforcement, we need to create awareness, we need to do trainings, we need to initiate different programs that would make it become a cultural thing within our organization. And also, managing and disposal of records and information is also our responsibilities. We need to help our organization to identify those information that are no longer relevant and also put them in the process of disposition. Then there's need for us to develop what we refer to as storage plan. A lot of times, let's take it from our personal lives now. A lot of times, I've seen a number of people struggling with their phones, complaining about the fact that the phone is becoming sluggish, the phone is no longer responding adequately, it's not working well, it's hanging, their social media crashing, and so on and so forth. Why? It's simply because they have poor storage management plan as individuals. What I try to do personally is every weekend, anytime I have the little chance, I look through my phone. I try to remove irrelevant materials. I try to remove irrelevant videos, images, that have no value to me, thereby creating enough space so that the RAM can run optimally. Because apart from your telephone, even your computer too, if you don't clean up your computer, if you don't regularly defrag your computer system become fragmented. What that means is that anytime you are moving a file from one location to the other, what you're actually creating on the system is a vacuum. You are creating a vacuum, and from time to time, all computer has the utility program called defragmentation application. On your computer, you need to defrag from time to time so that all the fragmentation being created in the course of the operation, in the course of moving files from one folder to the other, from one folder to the other, you're able to consolidate and also optimally use the storage space that your system or your telephone is having. So most of the time, all of these issues would happen on telephone, on computers, simply because you do not have storage space. Then physically now, in our various offices too, you go to some public offices, in government, in the public sector, you find out that, they are stacking up documents, paper documents, in Ghana must go bag, on the shelf, under the basement, at the corridor, very close to the stairwells, around the organization, even within the immediate offices, you find documents here and there, on desk, everywhere, simply because they have poor storage plan. So as professionals, it is our responsibility to help our organization to have a storage plan, because if you don't have storage plan in place, your servers, before you say Jack Robinson, you'll be running out of space. Physically, your archives or your record room or whatever name you call it, if you don't have a plan in place, you will soon exhaust the storage facility. So in order for our organization not to run into all these problems, as professionals, it's part of our functions to help our organization when it comes to the long and short-term housing of both the physical and electronic information that we generate. Then we also help to identify and classify also storage of records. Then we coordinate access to records internally and outside of organization. That is, sometimes when your organization is partnering with an external organization, it does not mean that because you are partnering, you have to give them all the information about your organization. So professionals will know those information they are supposed to share with third parties and those they are not expected to share. So at the end of the day, they are going to be able to balance business requirements in terms of confidentiality, data privacy, and public access. So then we are also expected to help in the execution of the retention policy. That is, from time to time, it could be quarterly, it could be monthly, it could be biannually, or it could be annually. We need to purge the system. We need to purge our repository of those records that are of no value to us and our operations. Then it could also it could be in alliance with how we destroy documents or how we permanently preserve them. When we talk about permanent preservation of records, then we're talking about archives now. Archives could be digital, it could be physical, which means is the repository where you keep those records that are still valuable to your organization, that you still have needs for. Rather than destroying them, you send them to your archive for proper storage. So when we talk about career opportunities, like I mentioned, we have various opportunities, career management in data and information management. You can specialize as a knowledge management specialist. That is why if you look at all those master's education that IIM is running, you find most of these disciplines there. Knowledge management is a discipline, archive management is a discipline, record management is a discipline, document management is a discipline, library science is a discipline, enterprise content management is a discipline, GIS, geographic information system, is a discipline. All of those disciplines are disciplines obtainable within our industry. They are all related, but they are unique in their own individual rights. So also, what are the various career opportunities that we have? Like I mentioned earlier on, all types of businesses and organizations would have needs for personnel to manage their data and information. So at local government, state level, federal level, there is always need for information specialists in the insurance, in the banking, retail organization, manufacturing, law firms, health institutions, security institutions, and so on and so forth. They have opportunities and openings there. Unfortunately, a good number of them don't even know those portfolios exist. And part of what we are doing as a professional institute is to help to create those portfolios so that we can create a lot of employment opportunities. Take a look at the NDPR, Nigerian Data Protection Regulation. Take a look at that alone. That alone has created a lot of employment opportunities. Now we're having DPOs. We're having DPO position in all organizations. So you can imagine DPO position, and we have DPC also. Both DPO and DPC role. You can imagine the hundreds of thousands of people that will be engaged, on this role. A lot of us now have not been trained on how to become a data protection officer. This is an opportunity. IIM, in a very short while, you begin to see the programs are going to be rolling out now. Because we want to make sure that our members are the first set of people that will be taking advantage of that role. A number of DPOs that are being appointed by companies according to Nigerian law now, most of them don't have all this background. They don't have all this training. So there are lots of career opportunities in medium to large scale organization. So it is up to us, whether the changing game is a threat or an opportunity. I want to employ us all to see this as opportunities rather than threats. I remember in 2020 when we went through all the government parastatals in Abuja in the course of executing our digital transformation awareness campaign. Most of the various ministries we visited, a lot of the employees, they were afraid. They were like, the digital transformation of a team will take their jobs. I remember those days in the early 90s when computer was becoming prominent in Africa. A lot of people too also exercised all those fears that they were like, if we use computer now, if we take our job, we are going to be jobless. Rather than for us to see all this as threats, we should see them as opportunities. That is why the game is changing fast. And that is why we need to be up to date in terms of knowledge, in terms of experience, in terms of education. And that is part of the benefit of belonging to IIM Africa. So by the time you acquire all those skills, by the time the organization is implementing, you will remain relevant, you remain current, and there won't be need for them to replace you in any way. In fact, rather than replacing you, they will promote you because that is going to create a kind of portfolio that will be higher than where you are. So the traditional backroom staff approach is at risk. That is, if you are that type of a professional that you say, at least at the end of the day, they are going to pay my salary. It's no longer the thing. Because if you are not, if you don't improve your skill sets and you don't acquire, the required skills, your organization might retire you even before your time to be retired. So record management must be visible, tangible, and valuable in organization, or it will be a threat. That is, we need to promote records and information management within your organization. Let everybody see that the life wire of this organization are the information, data, and records that we collect. And let every management begin to see data and information as assets. So IIM professionals have to move out of the basement. We need to move out. We need to evolve. We need to be the game changer within our various organizations. Digital records will become more prevalent. Like I mentioned earlier on, a lot of organizations are scanning their documents now. They are digitizing them, making them available digitally. So new media, new technology will continue to come. And that is why you need to remain relevant in IIM. They will constantly create new challenges. There are lots of challenges that social media has created for a lot of organizations, a lot of governments. They're having issues, they're having challenges. A lot of them, because they're not being compliant now. The operations is being hampered, it's being affected. Then paper record will still be with us for some time still and still need to be managed. That is, no matter what we do digitally, we cannot totally and completely eradicate paper records. And that is why we have the word called paperless. Paperless means reduction in the use of paper, not totally eliminating or eradicating the use of paper. So the transition from paper to digital is becoming more important. You all will agree with me. Specialization is still a valid option. That is, you may decide to specialize in knowledge management, you may decide to specialize in health information management, you may decide to specialize in geographic information system, but ignorance of related fields is not going to be acceptable again. And that was why we designed our certification program to cut across. Then information management for the brave-hearted is more exciting now and offers more potentials than ever before. It is so, in fact, our field continue to evolve and become more interesting and interesting. So because of time and space, we've only listed a few job opportunities that are available within our space. We have over 250 job designations. And you can see on the screen, we just listed something that is less than 20. So information management professionals of the future, these are the skills that we need to acquire. Change management skills, those are soft skills that we need to have. Change management, marketing ability to sell the concept and requirements to users and management within our organization. Then also communication skill is very, very important. Project management, planning and implementation skill, and technology skills are also very, very key. So as data managers, information managers, and so on, we need to have a high level of computer literacy. We need to know how to operate computer, how to use computer to do so many things. We need to be able to negotiate. That is, negotiation skill is also important, because sometimes you might go to management for budget. They will tell you, oh, this is what they can afford. This is what you need to be able to convince them, to be able to give you more money, to be able to thrive as a department or as a unit. Then you also need to have political skills to sell the various benefits that records and information management will engender, for your organization, compliance requirements, and so on and so forth to your organization. So to become a value-added information management professional, you must understand the role of information management, and which is why we have decided to have this session for you to understand the role of information management, understand and also speak information management terms, and provide solutions that are focused on all this understanding that we are bringing to you. Mind you, technology is just a tool, because a lot of people, sometimes you find them, they want to learn a particular software. If you learn that software, if it goes into extinction, what will happen? So technology is just a tool that we use to execute whatever tasks that we want to perform. You need to understand information management terms, processes, and procedures. Those are the things that you need that will remain with you, even if technology continues to evolve. Then information management is a great career choice. Information management career always exists. There's nothing like you are looking for a job. There's no way you have skills in data and information management and you come and tell me you are looking for a job. If you cannot find a job, come to me. I will link you up to where you get a job. You must get a job to do. Then ensure you're valuable to your employer. Your attitude is very, very key and also very, very important. You need to build bridges, so don't burn any. What are we saying is that in the course of carrying out all these various activities, you need to create relationship with people in other departments. You need to help them to see the need, why they need to embrace proper information management. And by the time you're able to achieve all of this, then you'll be rest assured that you are going to get the best out of this all-important and interesting field of data and information management. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you for your patience. We're going to open the line, that is for an opportunity for you to ask any question you have before we call it a day. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. So if we have any question, please kindly unmute and ask your question. Kindly unmute and ask your question. For those that attended this this session for more than 50% of the time will be qualified for the certificate of attendance. And on the certificate of attendance, we are going to list out the 3 modules. It's a different certificate that we're going to give out from the general kind of certificates of attendance you have been receiving. So I'm going to list out the 3 modules that have been treated. And like I mentioned earlier on, for those that will listen to the video, they will need to write or they will need to take certain quizzes for us to be able to ascertain that they actually listen to it. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen. If we have any question, this is the time, this is the opportunity for us to ask our question. Kindly unmute and ask your question, please. Kindly unmute. Okay. Kindly unmute and ask your question. Okay. If there are no questions, I want to ask for those of us that have the opportunity of turning on our cameras, let's have a good photograph before we call it a day. But before we go, I also want to recognize some Executive Council members in our midst. Kindly unmute, introduce yourself, and if you have any comments or commendation, kindly feel free. Members of the Executive Council in attendance, please.
Hello, can you hear me?
Loud and clear, ma'am.
Good evening, sir. Our honorable, distinguished, intelligent, and intellectual president. Good evening, sir, and good evening, everyone.
Thank you. Good
I
evening,
am Princess Mrs. Tiwalade Fakonda, the Vice President of this great institute. I'm glad to be part of today's program. This is another different session entirely. I must confess that all the sessions I've been having, this is also another unique one, and I'm glad to be part of it. I have also learned a lot, despite the fact that I have attended so many programs like this, orientation for refreshers, and refresher sessions are for existing and old members. And I have also learned in many new things, especially on examples that you have given. All the 3 modules were well presented. I say it again. It was really, really fully loaded and well presented. And it was an impactful and straight to the point presentation. I so much appreciated you, sir.
Thank you.
And I must confess that you are the best teacher, best lecturer I've ever, come across. And I pray we that are under you will also be as good as you are.
Amen.
So I want to congratulate everybody that is part of this orientation session that you have all learned. And I pray we will not learn it for learning's sake, but we will put it into practice. As I used to say, being a member of Institute of Information Management Africa is a great benefit to whoever is ready to benefit from it. So I would like to encourage all of us to be very active so that we have a lot of benefits. Let us put in our best in the Institute. Let us think of what we can also do for ourselves and for the Institute as well. The more we put in for the Institute, the greater we get in return, because I, as a person, am a living testimony of that. Because of the new members, I'm just encouraging you that if you put in more, you will get it in million folds. Just try it and you will have testimonies to give. Once again, I say thank you, everyone. You're welcome. And I can see that this audience, this virtual audience, is a really friendly and ready to learn audience. I give you kudos and I say congratulations to everyone, including me and the president. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night rest.
Thank you very much, man. Really appreciate you, man. And
Thank
thanks
you,
for
sir.
your support day in, day out.
Thank you, sir.
It is highly appreciated, man.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yes, man. Do we have any other comments from our distinguished members? Any further comments? Okay, in the absence of comments, let's turn on our camera if we can. Let's have the group photograph before we say good night. Like I mentioned earlier on, there's going to be a certificate of attendance for those of us that attended. And those of us that also attended the last UNILAG program, the Institute has already started issuing the certificates. I think as at the last time, for those that attended online, they have all received their certificates. But those who were in attendance physically will be getting their certificate by special grace of God after the holiday. Their certificate will be ready for collection, and I believe the secretariat will get in touch to broadcast that as soon as the certificates are ready for collection. So for those of us that can turn on our camera, we're taking the group photograph right now. We're taking the group photograph before we say good night. So we have 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Have a wonderful night's rest.
Thank you very much, sir. Really
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone.
God bless you, sir. Thank you, everyone.